Hello, beautiful, lovely, crafty friend. This is Love Builds Up Crafts, and I am Sasha. Welcome to this channel if you are new. This is the place where we build each other up whilst doing the things we love. And today, that is, oh my goodness, a new Tonic product. And they sent me the product. I'm so excited. So today we're going to be doing a very in-depth review of these Nuvo chalk mousses. Guys, this is food. Just listen to these flavors. We have mint mojito, coconut sorbet, and strawberry frappe. Sorry, not raspberry, strawberry frappe. Oh my goodness, I'm so hungry just reading these out. And then we've got these beautiful stencils as well that we're going to be using. I really like this stencil type because I think it's really versatile. So I cannot wait to get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to be trying it with its other products, the other Nuvo products, and as well as other products from other companies, but mostly we're going to focus on Tonic products so that if you're a tonic-holic like me, you know what you can try and use with your Nuvo chalk mousses. So I've talked enough, let's get started. So I've gone ahead and collected all my scraps of Tonic cardstock, different Tonic cardstock, because I really want to put these mousses through its paces. So I'm going to be trying it on any and everything that I can think of. So before we get started on the testing, I want us to get started by creating labels for our little bottles. I love these hexagon shaped bottles as well because they lie perfectly on their sides. So I'm just grabbing some regular 110 GSM white cardstock and we're going to just slather it on. I'm also going to time this so that we know exactly how long it takes to dry. Never mind my dirty phone. This phone belongs to the kids, okay? So that's why it looks like that. But I'm going to time it for you guys so that we know exactly how long it takes to dry. So coconut sorbet is going to have the honors of being opened first. I am just going to pop it open, no pun intended. And what I do is I try and open it as neatly as possible and closely to the edge as possible so that I can keep that foil intact, and then I can just use it to recover the mousse when I'm not using it. So I failed there, but most of the time it usually just peels off nicely, and you can see, look at that gorgeous consistency. I've got this silicone spatula, which of course I hate now. In hindsight, I don't like using silicone things. This one is a cheap one off Amazon. Maybe that's why it's not even working. So I'm just going to grab my metal spatula instead because I feel like I have more control with that. So anyway, back from being derailed, look at that consistency. It's like so smooth. Like, I just want to say it's smooth like butter, but I don't want to be cheesy, but it's actually like smooth like butter, and I just want to sing BTS right now. If you don't know who BTS is, then just go and Google smooth like butter, like criminal undercover. Anyway, I'll stop singing. Back to the review now. So I'm just gonna put it on some white cardstock, even though I know it probably won't show up. I'm still gonna try it. So I'm putting a really thick layer, and then I'm going to put a mid layer and then a light layer. We're going to go thick, mid, light with all the three samples so that we get a really clear idea about how long it takes to dry for each of the different types of application, because sometimes you might just want a really thick layer and sometimes you might want something a bit less thick. I'm just literally just spooning it on, and well, not spooning it because I'm not holding a spoon. So I've popped the timer on so that we know from the get-go how long it takes to dry, and I'm just going to grab my mint mojito and try. Look at that. See, that's how normally I open it. It just slides off, and it's nice to keep your mousses like that. but that color is so gorgeous. It's like a nice sea bluey minty aquary. It's mint mojito, like they say, because they know better. Tonic knows better. That's why they gave it that name. It's a mint mojito. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Try and lather it on a thick layer, a mid layer, and then a lighter towards the edge. I don't know how I'm doing it. There's no method to this. I'm just literally lathering it on and then trying to spread it out so that it's thick, mid, light. Okay, and this is what we're going to use to do our labels. So it's really important that you smooth it out so that you also know the consistency of the mousses. But look at that chalk finish. Like, it's just, I'm so amazed. Like, I don't even have words. I didn't think this would excite me as much as it did once I had opened it, and I'm like, So anyway, we're on to the strawberry frappe. Oh my gosh, this sounds like a gorgeous summer dessert. I could really do with the strawberry frappe right now in this heat. I'm surprised like the mousses didn't. I've like noticed in this one. Sorry, I was about to go off on a tangent, but then now I'm remembering something. There was a lot of chalky bits still inside, so you can see one right there. That's like an actual piece of chalk. So this one, I found this problem particularly with this strawberry frappe. So I would just say make sure you mix it well before you start applying it to your cardstock. Just give it a really, really good mix, just like you're mixing cake butter, because that's what it feels like anyway. I have like a different mind to go and get a spoon and just start like mixing it as you would if it was in a bowl. But I won't do that anyway. Rather, I'll take my spatula and just layer it on that white cardstock. Look at that beautiful color with the contrast of the white. Like, these colors are so gorgeous. I love pastels, but these colors are just really, really beautiful. The mint mojito and the strawberry frappe. I'm sure the coconut sorbet will look nice on some colored cardstock, but on white cardstock it's just white, so it's not as exciting as these two. What do you think so far of this chalk mousse? Like, so far I'm like so excited. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I'm like actually so excited, and this is not sponsored. Tonic sent me this, but my opinions are mine, and definitely I'm not going to tell you something is exciting me when it's not. So now we're going to move on to the bit where we let it dry. I am just going to sit here and let you know how long it took. Okay, so we are back and our samples are kind of dry. That took about almost 2 hours. I'm not even kidding. But it's not all the bits that took that long, okay? The light bits, they took about 15 minutes. In 15 minutes they were dry, or probably even less than that. And then the mid bits, they took about 30 to 35 minutes to dry, and the thicker bits are the ones that are actually still not dry. Like that green bit over there is still spongy, you can see that, because it's not dry. So the lesson that we can take from this is that apply it lightly, okay? Don't apply it really thick, just apply it lightly or mid lightly. But we're going to see if later on we can use it with our heat gun to sort of speed up the drying process. But for now, let's do our labels. So we're just going to grab a die that fits there, so that die fits perfectly. And then what I do is I'll cut out that circle, and then I will chop the top off so that you can still see the name, the color name. So I'll just cut the top half off, not half, about quarter off that circle. So I've cut out my circle here, and I'm just going to snip that quarter half off. Quarter, not quarter half. What's a quarter half? Oh, so stupid. Anyway, stick that down with some deluxe adhesive, and as you can see, your label is good enough to go. You can't really see it from the sides, you only see this once you pick it up. So now we're just going to get cracking with these stencils. I like Tonic stencils because of that tab. That tab makes it so easy to just like pick up your stencils, and I like these stencils. I think I've already said it, but they just looks like so much fun. So I'm gonna grab my magnetic platform. If you don't have one, get one. So the boys actually bent mine, like you can see it's got like a bend on it. And if I tell you the things that I enjoy in this house, honestly, so many things. But anyway, it still functions for what it's meant to do. So I'm just grabbing my magnets, then I'm going to place my stencil. I'm actually going to section my stencil because I only have these two and I don't want to have to keep washing it. So I'm just going to section it, and there I've sectioned it. That will allow me to use the same stencil over and over again, because we are really going to try it with so many things. So you see me there, I'm just grabbing this. This was part of a baking set. It's just like a stencil pal, but way cheaper. This was about £3 as part of the set, so it wasn't just this that was £3. I will link the whole set on in the description below. Okay, our mousse party has started, so I'm just grabbing that strawberry frappe and just layering it on. It applies so beautifully, and then just grabbing my little stencil pally thing, and just I'm going to do the same thing with all the three colors and just get it through that stencil. That stencil is actually gorgeous. Just look at those little perfect hearts. Hearts make me happy. I mean, the name is Love Builds Up Crafts. So you see there, I mixed the three colors together just to see what it looks like if we were to blend it, but obviously the white doesn't do much difference. And there I'm just applying it straight onto that stencil pal thing and just applying it onto the paper, and then I'm stippling it on and blending it on. It's good to just try different things to see if you can get different textures or different looks by using different tools. So that's why I'm trying all that. So we're grabbing our black paper now. We're going to leave that white one to dry, and then we're going to get started with the black paper. Okay, so I'm just going in with each and every single color of this chalk mousse, because the Tonic products, some of them, they have like a different effect when you put them on black cardstock. Like the dream drops, they completely change color on black cardstock. So I wanted to test this out with these chalk mousses, and then you can see there on the last square I'm just blending the three together to see what it looks like when you do some blending. It's not the best, but hey, it gets the job done. Then I'm adding a thick layer of the mojito and a light layer of the coconut sorbet. Get used to using the names. Alright, so now I've got the glitter cardstock, and I'm just putting in my strawberry frappe, and then I'm going to try out all the three colors. I wasn't really expecting anything from this. I just wanted to try it out because you never know until you've tried it out. So I'm stenciling over that, then popping that to the side. And then here I've got petal pink holographic cardstock. This cardstock is like gorgeous, okay? So beautiful. And I wasn't expecting anything, but I think the best way you can use this is with the stencil, because when you've got the gaps through the stenciled image, you can still see some of that holographic shine, and it's really beautiful. So this is some pearlescent cardstock, and I like this effect the most because it looks like a plastered wall, which I think is a really cool effect. And when you stencil over it, or when you leave some of the gaps there and that sheen of the cardstock comes through, it's a really beautiful effect. I wouldn't bother blending or stippling over this because all it does is it just makes it chalky. So unless you want your pearlescent card to be chalky, but I don't know why you'd want that. All right, so now we've got this specialty card that has like some embossed flowers on it, and I'm just going in immediately and blending, and then I'm now coming in with the spatula, adding a light layer. And I think the best way to use this one is with a deep layer, because it's sort of like you can not see it on this cheap camera, but it sort of like gives like a colored layer to your embossing. It's a really beautiful effect. Just try it, okay? I would suggest you try this. I wouldn't suggest stenciling over it unless you wanted like a really busy card, because already the pattern is busy. But hey, we're trying everything, okay? So next we've got this textured gold card. I'm sorry if it's like too fast for you, but I didn't want this video to be so super long, so I'm just going in and adding light layer and then a deeper layer. With this cardstock, the best technique or the best things I'll try is adding that light layer and then also this that I just did, because I'm explaining there that it looks like waves, and if you've got a wave stencil you can go in and really do some cool wavy look. I don't know why, but it just gave like a beautiful texture, and of course you can stencil over it, no problemo. And then I've got this patterned paper. This was part of the sweet sorbet trend, and what I like most about this is even though you've added a thick layer, you can still see the striped pattern through the uh through the layer of the through that thick layer of the chalk mousse, which is a really cool effect. So imagine when you've stenciled and you can still see the lines through the stenciling. I think it's a beautiful effect. So definitely try it on your patterned stripy paper or your other different patterned paper. Okay, so now we've got craft card. I don't use craft card as much as I should, so that's why I wanted to see if we can get something cool out of this that would sort of prompt me to use craft card more. And I love it with the white, with the coconut sorbet, and I'm gonna be stenciling over with the coconut sorbet so much, and also stippling over it gives a nice effect for mixed media, as well as adding that thick layer. And then now we've got this embossed specialty paper. This paper is so gorgeous, like even doing this to it is hurting me, but it's all for you guys. So the best way I would use this is by adding a thick layer with the spatula or a stencil pal or whatever you use to add your layer, and also by stippling it, because that gives a nice effect. You can't see it there because I used white, don't know why. I wouldn't bother using that finger technique, and I wouldn't bother stenciling over it because this pattern is really busy, so I wouldn't know when you would want to stencil over that. But definitely try the other ways. You try it, you might like it. So next we've got foiled craft card. I love this foiled craft card. It's one of my favorite Tonic products actually. So I'm just going in and seeing if we can cover the foiling and still get some of that shine seeping through the lighter layer and the thick layer. And it does look alright, but this is not something I would do because this craft card is too beautiful for that. Okay, what I'll do is like stencil in between the gaps of that craft card. So hard to speak. Okay, stencil in the gaps like I'm just doing there with that mint mojito. But if you wanted to try the other techniques for your mixed media looks, then you can do it. So here with this foiled card, it's the same as the one we just did with the stripes, but this is a different pattern, and this is gold instead of silver. And what I like is that even though you've got a thick layer, the foil, the shine of the foil is still coming through, and I couldn't believe that. I thought that was really awesome. You still get some of that foily shine, so you can layer on top of it, but I like using it with a stencil, especially with Glimmer paste. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but you can use this with a stencil. Okay, so for this section, I wanted to try some popular techniques that we might use with our mousses. So I've gone ahead and spread a layer of some of that mojito. Yeah, it's a shame you can't drink this, but anyway. We're just going to heat emboss over that. It's got such a beautiful texture. Honestly, I love that texture. I'm obsessed with the texture of this chalk mousse. And I've embossed that side with some turquoise lagoon, and I'm gonna try and see if we can layer it over the embossing. I'm sorry about those sounds if you're hearing them. That is my neighbor's dog and I have no control over that. So then now we're just going in with our Versamark ink and just putting it through those gaps, and then using this Happy Days embossing powder, which was part of the Sweet Sorbet trend. And I'm doing it under and over because these are unchattered waters, so I'm testing to see if any damage will be done, and I double check and it's fine. It takes heat perfectly fine. There's no damage at all to the mousse. It doesn't crack, it doesn't bubble. It remains perfectly the way you layered it on. The way you put it on the cardstock, that's it, just remains that way, which is really awesome because that means you can layer so many things on top of this chalk mousse. Like, my mind was going overtime here, so I'm just grabbing my salvage patina and I'm like, I'm going to layer everything on top of this and really see how far we can stretch this. So I'm just ink blending in some salvage patina and then wiping it off, because one thing that I do like to see is, do I have an option? If I don't like it, can I just remove it with a wet wipe? And you can. So I've gone back in and ink blended, and now I'm just showing you that you can go in, ink blend, and then wipe where you don't want the color. So is that what a resist is? I don't know if that's what a resist is, but if that's what it is, then you can use this as a resist. And then I'm just doing the same thing with the hybrid ink. Obviously with the hybrid ink, it does take a bit more effort than with the distress oxides, because that's just the way the products are, man. Distress oxides are just ink blending gold. So anyway, I'm just gonna go and do the same thing and try and see if we can wipe it off. It does wipe off, but it's not as clean as it is with the distress oxide, because I think the distress oxide just reacts better to water. We're just gonna go back and do some more ink blending just to show that you can layer your colors over this really well. Let's say you wanted like a really cool rainbow effect, and you can get it this way, and it would be like a chalky finish and still have that gloss of the embossing coming through. And I think that's really such a cool effect, and I'm definitely going to explore that more. So moving on to the other side, can we add it over an embossed image? And yes, we can. I like the light layer because it gives like sort of like a white, not a whitewash, like a light wash background. And I like the thick layer because you can still see that embossing through the thick layer. And stenciling was actually by far my favorite method of the day, because look at that beautiful effect. I think we're gonna make loads of cards using this technique. So now I really want to test it with water, because it does say at the bottom there that you can add water to it if it dries. So I've got a few distress oxides panels here. I've got also a hybrid ink panel on some watercolor card, and we're really going to go through each of these one at a time to test it with water. But first, this is salvage patina on regular 300 GSM cardstock, and we're going to see if we can layer it over the salvage patina without the distress oxide moving or mixing with that chalk mousse, and also what effect we get when it's all dry, because distress oxide are chalky as well. They've got a chalky finish, so this is like chalk on chalk on chalk on chalk. Look, if you like that chalk effect, this is going to be a jam. So we're just stenciling over it. I like the stenciled look, and I really like this color combination. It like reminds me of quiche flamingo, and yeah, a quiche flamingo, yeah, I think that's but you can see how beautiful that is. So no problem layering it over some salvage patina on regular cardstock. So for the hybrid inks, I've gone with watercolor card because it's meant to move the medium. So if the medium is going to move, it's definitely going to be over watercolor card. So this is a thorough test in my head anyway. So I'm just going to start layering that. I'm using this mojito color a lot, so you're going to see that I get through a lot of that. I wish I hadn't, because this is actually my favorite of the three colors, but maybe that's why I'm like, I keep being drawn to it. But anyway, back to our testing. As you can see, you can layer it on perfectly fine. It doesn't move at all, and with stenciling over it, the same thing, it doesn't move at all. So you can really layer over your hybrid inks. So now we've got salvage patina. I've just ink blended that over some watercolor card, and we're going to try and see how it reacts when you start adding water to it. So I'm just watering some of that mousse there. This, I wanted to see if you could use this as a replacement for gouache or acrylic paint for having splatters, because then if you wanted like a matte look, then you could use this. But then you're going to see when we get to the results that it looks fine when it's wet, but when it dries, it's a bit underwhelming. That's the only word I could find for it. So probably it's not going to replace your gouache for splatters. I forgot what I was saying. This is the problem with doing voiceovers at like late in the night. So anyway, I'm just drying that. What I do like about this, oh, now I remember, what I do like about this is that the chalkiness of the mousse over the chalkiness of the salvage patina, it gives a really lovely effect. So if you really wanted something that is super chalky, then this is going to be a friend. You just do your salvage patina and then your distress oxide, and then come in with the mousse. So now we're moving on to this wicked. I've heard Tim Holtz say wicked, okay, so that's what I'm going to use. This is the salvage patina. It's already been wicked. That means I've added water to it. I think that's what that means. So anyway, you can see I'm doing a bit of color mixing there, because whilst we have it out, why not see if we can get other colors, because we only get 4 colors of this so far. I don't know if they're going to be doing more colors, or I don't know if they actually released more colors. I only got 3, and then I know there's like another color in the kit, in the latest kit. So now I'm just adding water to the mousse there, because I'm gonna add it to the panel to see if we get any movement from that distress oxide. I want to see how we can layer this mousse on top of other mediums. So you can see I'm adding a lot of water there. I'm even going to go in and add some more water to really test it out with this salvage patina distress oxide. But obviously any distress oxide would work. It's not just salvage patina, but then you can see there's no movement at all, so you can really layer this on. So just like with the embellishment mousses, we're going to see if we can use this as watercolors. Even though this is not my favorite technique or way of using mousses, we're going to give it a try. So I'm just grabbing my little flower palette thing. Is it called a palette? Whatever, that thing there. Okay, and I'm just adding my colors to it, because we're gonna add some water. I'm even adding white there to try and see if we can do some color mixing. I don't even know why I bothered, because this is my thing. This is why I don't like this technique, because look at how long it's taking to just break that down to a watercolor consistency. It is much easier to just use your watercolor pencils, your actual watercolors, acrylic paint, gouache, any other watercolory medium or whatever. is easier than these mousses, because you do have to add quite a fair bit of water to get it to break down and get that watercolor consistency. And also because these are pastels, I am already not looking forward to the effect it's going to produce, because unless you do it on like black cardstock, watercolor cardstock, which I don't have any at the moment, that's why I didn't try it, but it's just gonna be really washed out unless that's the look that you're going for. If you really want a pastely washed out look, then why not, then try this. But I really wouldn't bother, to be honest. It works different with the embellishment mousses, but with this you can see that it just really is not getting anything that you can use that is decent. Well, that's in my opinion. If you like this look, then go for it. Okay, so you can see the Nuvo hybrid ink and the Versa fine pigment ink, they accept it really well. They don't smudge, but then the Memento dye does smudge when it dries. Immediately it doesn't smudge, but then when it dries it definitely smudges, and the Versamark embossing ink takes it perfectly fine. So you can definitely try some no line coloring, watercoloring. And now I just wanted to try wet on wet technique. I didn't know if it was going to work because the mousse is quite dense. It's actually like really thick, so I knew it wasn't going to move that much, but I still wanted to try it so that we know what to do and what not to try, because that's the point of this, is to know the techniques that we can try with these mousses and the ones that we shouldn't bother. So that's that done. So now I'm just gonna add this aqua flow to it to see if we can really get it to be like a watercolor. So I'm adding this grenadine red. Isn't that color gorgeous? That is like, I've never used that before, as you can tell it was new, and now I am going to use it on everything. Such a gorgeous color. So anyway, I've mixed it, and just see, it was much easier to mix with the aqua flow than it was when you're just using water. So maybe that's the trick if you wanted to use it as a watercolor. But you can see that you can do all your watercoloring techniques, even some smooshing. Okay, so now we're going to go down the Nuvo product rabbit hole. Okay, we're going to see how these chalks play with the rest of the Nuvo family, with its sisters and its cousins. So let's just get into it. I've already gone ahead and prepared the samples because this stuff takes time to dry and I didn't want to have to wait. And the idea is that we're going to do over the product and then mixed with the product. That's what we're going to try and test. So we're going to start with our mica mist. We've got Misty over here. You know, Misty's like a back of the drawer product. She's one of those that when you get, you're so excited, and then after that you hardly ever use it. Be honest with yourself, you know that's the truth. And you can see there that I'm trying to mix it and she's clogged. Maybe that's why she's always at the back of the drawer. So anyway, just mix your mica mist. You can see it stencils perfectly fine. Nothing moves there or gets mixed. So now we're going to see if this is a nice way of adding to our stash, like adding more colors, creating more colors to add to our stash, since this only has a few colors. And I'm not too happy about that because it is quite grainy. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but it has grains and I don't know why. So now we're moving on to a sparkle mist, which is another back of the drawer product. This color that I'm using here is actually from the new color trend, so it has not made its way to the back of the drawer yet. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm just mixing some of that coconut sorbet with the sparkle spray, and it stencils perfectly. And look at that, we've created a new color that is a bit lighter. So I think this would work really great with some tone on tone layered looks, because even though it strips it of its sparkle, it gives us a nice color. So I would do a layer of the sparkle spray and then come in and mix the sparkle and the chalk mousse, and then do a layer of the charcoal solution. Charcoal. Anyway, now we've got crackle mousse. That was so funny. Charcoal. Charcoal. Because it's sparkle and chalk, you know. Anyway, this is another back of the drawer item. I wish I could use crackle mousse more, but I just don't know what else to do besides crackle it. But anyway, this new technique I think that I discovered here, I just took my finger and I just filled in the cracks. I know this is not new actually, so I'm not going to say new. It's new to me because I had never thought of doing this. So just adding some of that different colored mousse to the cracks, it gives such a beautiful, gorgeous effect. You can't see it, of course, on this cheap camera, but trust me, it's such a beautiful, beautiful effect. And I'm just showing you that you can stencil over your crackle mousse, but I don't know when you'd want to do that and why. But we're just gonna test it out. So now I'm grabbing a spatula and trying to put like a thick layer to see if we can get some of it in those cracks, and it's not working the same as it does with just rubbing your finger over it. So I think the finger method is what I'm going to do the most with the crackle mousse. Now we're going to mix our crackle mousse and see if we can get... Crackle mousse is notorious for, like, when you mix it with other things, it just doesn't crackle anymore. Like when you mix it with Glimmer paste, it doesn't crackle anymore. So it will be really interesting to see if it still maintains its crackle and you get like a chalk crackle. That is going to be such a cool look. So I've mixed it and I'm adding a very thick layer, because if you want it to crackle, you're going to need a thick layer. And then I'm even stenciling some, and then I'm gonna go and still do a light layer just to show you that you can use it as something else rather than just crackle mousse, but I just prefer not to. Okay, so this is by far my favorite of the day. I think I've said that a few times, but this is my favorite of the day, because embellishment mousse is like a sister for this mousse. They're like directly related. So I really wanted to see how they layer on top of each other, and it is such a beautiful effect, because embellishment mousse is all shiny and then the chalk mousse is just dull. So that contrast between shiny and dull is just so pleasant, and I can't wait to try it on like mixed media looks. You can try it on other things as well, like on dyes. Just create this two textured or two finish dye, flower dyes or something. I don't know, guys. I'm just showing you what it works with, and you go and fly and do some amazing things. Okay, so now we're going to do the mixing. I'm just grabbing a bit and trying out this marbling technique. I don't know if it's marbling, but you just mix a bit, and whilst the colors are still like haven't completely mixed, you just add it to your paper. I was gonna say spoon it, but obviously we're not spooning anything, so just add it to your paper and then mix it well and use your stencil. It's going to stencil fine because it's made to stencil, but I've noticed that the chalk mousse is so dominant. It chalkifies everything. It just strips it of its sheen, so it's now a chalk. Now we've got, this is definitely a back of the drawer item. You know, it is expanding mousse. I've already added the layer of expanding mousse, and now I'm just heating it to see that expansion, and I actually like the bubbly effect. I really like it, because that's not the normal effect that I'm used to with these mousses. And you can see how dry my mousse is. It's like it's like a desert. It's like the Sahara Desert. Like, you think you've got mousse, but no, you've got a desert in a bottle. So anyway, I'm mixing it and trying that marbling again, and then going in and doing a thicker layer. And this time I'm going to go immediately in with the heat gun. I'm not going to wait for it to dry and then heat. We're going to heat it straight away, and that's the effect that I'm used to with the expanding mousse. So as I'm heating this, I'm realizing there's no point mixing these two because they both have like a chalky finish, so it's just redundant really. But I think layering it like I'm doing now would probably be the best way to use it, because you can get some really stunning mixed media looks just by layering these products over each other. So now we're going to try Glimmer Paste. Yay! This is not a back of the drawer product. I love Glimmer Paste. It was actually one of my first Tonic purchases. I just love this stuff. I could use layers and layers of it. So let's see if it stencils beautifully over the Glimmer Paste. I'm sure there's no problem at all stenciling it over the Glimmer Paste. It just spreads like butter, smooth like butter. Okay, I'm not gonna say. So now we're just going to mix it together. And I like Glimmer Paste because if you don't get any effect that wows you, what you are going to get is a beautiful texture that is like grainy. So I might try adding like some chunky glitter to the Glimmer Paste and then mixing it with the chalk mousse and then seeing what we get. You never know. You're never going to know until you try. And to me, this looks like terrazzo. Is it terrazzo or terrazzo? Terazzo. I think that's how you spell it. But you know those tiles, yeah, the flow tiles or the floors that have this spotty pattern. That's what it reminds me of, this, and I like it. I really like it. So now we're moving on to glacier paste. Okay, glacier paste is look at me, I'm such dirty messy person. I should have wiped that before I dipped it in there. Thankfully I'm using this small pot. If it gets contaminated, I don't have to throw away my big pot. So anyway, I'm just trying to do this marbling technique. Glacier paste is like something that I thoroughly love because the mica in it is just so gorgeous. The mica flakes that they use in this, it's just stunning. So I'm just giving that a really good mix because of the mica in it. I really want it to be a part of the mica. I want the mixture to be really mixed. I'm not saying anything, am I? This is the problem with doing voiceovers late in the night. You just end up saying nonsense. So anyway, I'm just going to spatula that on. I'm spatularing on the mousse and the glacier. Is that a word? Spatularing. I'm even making up words. Oh my gosh, let me just move on to the next section before I speak a whole completely different language. So now we're going to stencil over the glacier paste. I'm sure it's going to do just fine. It won't move or anything, but I'm just checking because glacier paste really has a lot of mica. So I'm just double checking if that mica is going to move, and it really doesn't. So now I'm just grabbing that watered down mousse and trying to see if we can do like a wash over a glacier paste, and if that moves the glacier paste, and it doesn't. So this is like really cool because you can now layer loads of things over that. So now I'm grabbing my dream drops. These are my favorite things in the whole wide world, honestly. Just look at how beautiful they are. Okay, this is not about dream drops, so let me just pull it back in before I go on a tangent. So I'm just mixing one mixture with just one color, and then the other mixture I'm going to add all the three colors just to see if we can how many different shades we can get just using the other mediums that we have. And also because dream drops are like quite concentrated, they're really glossy, so I wanted to see if any of that a holographic color or element of the green drops is going to come through, and if the gloss is going to be stronger than the chalk. So now we're adding glitter. I'm just adding glitter one at a time, one color at a time. I've started with the white mousse and I'm just adding one color at a time. I've added blue, red, and now this is gold. And I must say, I really love this effect. Like, I enjoyed it. Looks like terrazzo to me, like the floor the floor, the spotty floor. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm gonna be making cards that look like tiles for a long time because this is cool. So now anyway, we're doing shimmer powder. Of course this happened, and you know, like, you can tell this happens to me a lot because I just continue like nothing's happened. I'm just like, anyway, just mix, and I like the intensity of the color, maybe because I did spill it, but I just like how deep that color is. So if you want deep color, go with your shimmer powders. So that's all cleaned up now, and I am a mess, but we're going to try black micron pen and white gel pens because anybody who's seen any of my videos knows that I cannot complete a card without these two things. I love them so much, so any medium that I use has to be able to take these, and these mousses do not disappoint. It's like gliding on. Can't wait to like tint my mousse all black and then write over it with the white gel pen. I think that would be so cool. So now we're going to try coloring pencil and alcohol markers because stencils can be so monotone. So any way that you can try and add some depth or some extra interest, because I mean, how many times are you going to like put this mousse over your stencil and then be like, oh wow, that's really cool. It's cool for the first few times, and after that it's like, okay, what else can I do? So I'm just showing you here that you can color over it with your alcohol markers and it still maintains its chalkiness. You can also do that. I don't know why I did that, but you can also do that. I also love coloring pencils, even though I cannot open them, but I love coloring pencils because they're easier to control than alcohol markers for me. So as you can see, you can completely cover it and color it and change the color. And also now I'm going to try and just give it a bit of shading. This is a cool way of adding interest, or like trying to make your stencils 3D even, if you wanted to go through each and every one of those hearts, shading it. And you can also give it an outline, which is really nice as well. So the things that you can explore and try yourself and see what you like and what you don't like. But definitely just try these things, because if you don't try, you're never going to know. You can also come in and color and fill in the gaps in your stencils. But this next thing I'm obsessed with. Do you remember when you're younger and you used to take a coin and put it under the paper and then color over it with the crayon? This is that method, except that this is like way cooler because you're coloring over the mousses. But just look at how much interest that adds, and you can like go crazy. You can do a whole rainbow, and or you can just do a whole lovely blended sort of image. Now I'm just trying to show you that you can create a whole scene just like that. Just stencil a bit of that rainbow and then add some coloring pencil and create like water, and then just, you know, I don't know, just try. Okay, just try something that is different, because if things get too samey, then you stop using the product, and I don't want you to stop using this product because it's really great. Thank you so much for watching till the end of the tests. We're going to do the results. We're going to talk through the results in another video, so look out for that video. I'm gonna post it today, same day, and in that video as well, we're going to talk through the cards that I made with these products. Guys, I made so many cards. I think there's like 10 different cards that I made. I just love this product so much, I don't even want to lie. So we're going to be discussing those cards, and throughout this whole week on my website as well as my social media, I'll be posting different tutorials because there's still so many ideas that I wanted to explore. So I'm going to still be sharing, so make sure you visit www.lovebuildsupcrafts.com, and that's where you'll find my blog, where I'll share a few more tutorials as well as how you can access my Instagram. But I will link in the description my Instagram so that you can just click that link and go directly there. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Even if you didn't, guys, just look at how detailed this video was. You must subscribe, come on.